Thank you, gentlemen, for being with us today. Mr. Secretary Shanahan, in 1990, Congress passed a law that required the administration to produce an audit of the Department of Defense. I want to give you guys kudos for producing the first ever audit of the Department of Defense last year in November. Thank you for that. Can you give us an update on that? Give us a little idea of what the department is learning from that audit. I know we don't have a clean audit yet. Secretary Norquist may want to comment on that. But I'd like to get a brief update about what we're learning, what kind of opportunities we have for efficiencies and better use of capital in the military.
Thank you, Senator. First of all, the audit was to look at $2.7 trillion worth of assets. So this was the largest audit ever conducted, probably in the history of mankind. We were asked, would we ever do this? Because it had never been done. We made the commitment to this committee that it would be accomplished. We always knew that there would be discoveries, but audits really aren't about doing the audits. It's finding the problems, as you pointed out. And we specifically focused on identifying certain problems that are vital to operating the department. Some of them are financial and benefit, as you described, efficiencies, but others are identifying cyber shortfalls. So we use the audit to find efficiencies, vulnerabilities from cyber, as well as where there is non-compliance. The best part of the audit is we've identified those items, and now we're incorporating all the corrective actions. We're building the muscle movement and the habits to continuously close those, address those findings and make ourselves better. Dave, would you like to talk about the efficiencies?
Sure. So I think one of the things you point out is before we started the audit, there was sort of two potential misconceptions. One is it was going to be a paperwork exercise, and we'd learn nothing. Or the other is we'd open the floors and discover pots of gold hidden underneath. And, of course, part of the value of getting through is you moved past those to discover the tangible value. And let me just give a couple of specific examples. The first is inventory. We discovered there are certain facilities where what they thought they had in inventory did not match what they had in inventory. And if your responsibility is spare parts for airplanes, the accuracy of that inventory matters. And so, for example, at Hill Air Force Base, uninstalled missile motors, they don't just check the quantity, they check the condition. They were labeled as unserviceable. When you visit them and look at them, they're actually usable, and so you wouldn't have needed to order more. That saved us $53 million. Other places, you go to Osan and Kadena, 14,000 munitions, $2.2 billion, 100% accounted for, not a single exception. And so what we learned is there are some places that are doing this quite well, and there are others where we need to either help them fix their process or give them better attention. But the commanders in the field recognize the direct, correct connection to mission and readiness, and so I had expected a lot of pushback once the audit findings came in that this was just paperwork, but they saw the tangible value. And I think as we move forward, the accuracy of the data, adopting more business-like practices will be tremendously helpful for the department.
Thank you. And how long will it take us to get a clean audit, in your estimate?
I don't know how long the department, because the department's opinion will be the last of the organizations, but I think over the next couple of years you'll see either the Working Capital Fund or the Army or the Marine Corps start to get to clean opinions, and then you'll be able to differentiate between which of the organizations missing progress and who needs an extra hearing.
Thank you. Chairman Dunford, today we have about 5,000 troops, I think, directionally in Iraq. Is that correct?
That's correct, Senator.
And so General Thomas recently, before this committee, the combatant commander of SOCOM said, and I quote, "Our Iraqi partners have embraced their sovereign responsibility in terms of defending their terrain." What are we doing? And also we hear about this potential vote in the parliament in Iraq about asking U.S. forces to leave Iraq. And then just this week we had President Rouhani visiting Prime Minister Mahdi. Can you talk to us a little bit about what assumptions we have in this budget with regard to our presence in Iraq, and how do you see our continuing role there in Iraq?
Senator, this budget includes an enduring presence in Iraq, slightly less than the forces that are on the ground right now. But what's important is that we do that in partnership with the Iraqi government. So as the Iraqi government settles and they're prepared to enter into a conversation about what our reliable partnership will be moved forward, then our Secretary of State and Secretary of Defense will work out the exact numbers to meet the requirements that the Iraqi security forces will still have to ensure the lasting defeat of ISIS, which, of course, is our collective focus.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.